Welcome to another episode of OG55. Today we are doing a reaction to Above the Influence podcast. We've done this reaction before, but usually just for members. This time we're reacting to one of their videos for everybody here on the channel. It's all about, growing as a person, messing up, getting back up on your feet, and how life is not necessarily a straight line. We're going to talk about it. We're going to watch this video, break it down. Up next on OG55. Let's get it. Let's go. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. Today we're doing something a little different, because there's more to life than just the theme parks. And we like to dip into some other stuff, some life stuff every now and then. Usually this reaction for this particular podcast, we do just for members. But today we're going to open it up to everybody here at OG55. Before we get started, though, I want to introduce this wonderful gentleman, the one and only Mr. Webba. Welcome back, sir. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic, OG55. Thank you so much for having me on. And actually, before we record, like I was telling you, I just got done watching episode 1 of the Imagineering story. I've already seen it, but I'm kind of going through these episodes because they are freaking fantastic. And I encourage everybody out there to watch them. They are glorious.
Absolutely, absolutely. Where can everybody find you and your web slinging ass on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on social media, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, at Mr. Webba91. And also because of our good friend, Candy Camper, I have a TikTok account at Mr._Webba91. And you can also find me right here on Orange Grove 55.
There he is, Mr. Webba, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. All right, let's rock and roll. This is a great podcast, by the way, Above the Influence. I'm kind of new to them, to be completely honest, but I've really been enjoying their content. I really love their kind of laid back, chill vibe. They just talk about life and just anything really. And that's what I love about them, because it kind of reminds me a little bit of us here at OG55. They're all friends and they just kind of shoot the shit and they keep it really real. And I love that. So anyway, this is Above the Influence podcast. I'll be linking them in the description down below. So make sure you check them out. We're only going to be watching a little clip of this longer live show, but Mr. Webba, are you ready to rock and roll, bro?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll.
One is trying to grow and fucking up again, fudging up again. You see, that's a prime example right there. I'm trying to curse less, and I keep fudging it up. But yeah, I feel like, all of us, especially from our audience's viewpoint and the things we display online, have been trying to be better in certain ways.
Have you actually tried to stop cussing or no?
Not in my normal life as much. The only time I'm aware of it is by watching the podcast, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez, I curse a lot and I don't want to curse that much.
Yeah.
When you're from the area that I'm from, like New Jersey, New York, those people, when you talk to them, you're like, oh my God, you curse so much. It's insane. And they all talk like that, Like whenever I'm around my boys in Brooklyn or like my friends that live in Jersey, like the way they talk just uses curse words a lot. And then when I'm in LA, people don't really talk like that. So I notice it a lot more.
Okay, so interesting, right? So by the way, I love her shirt, black, pink in your area. But I want to ask you, so his thing, his vice, right, is cussing. Now that's a vice of mine too. I mean, even though we run a Disney channel, so to speak, it's more of an adult skewed perspective. We do a lot of analyzing of like the company and things like that. And so we do cuss here on the channel, right? But that's his vice. He wants to cut down on the cussing, right? One of my vices is I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to get healthier, because I do drink beer and man, I'm guilty of the hot Cheetos and the Takis and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and there I go. I just cussed again, right? So, and there's Mr. Webba with the hot Cheetos on deck. So for me personally, I'm trying to really just do better. I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to get healthier, eat better. But here's the thing, and he mentioned this, and I think it's a great point where, life isn't linear, right? So when you're trying, for example, he's trying to stop cussing, he's making a conscious effort to cut that back or eliminate it. But there's going to be moments when he messes that up and he's going to say a curse word, right? Same with me. I'm trying to eat healthier, but every now and then, I'm gonna drink a Sapporo or something, and I'm not gonna necessarily be on my best game. Everybody has that thing, but here's the thing with life is that it's sort of a up and down sort of ebb and flow situation. I think where kind of like the stock market. I think that's the best analogy. Life is kind of like the stock market, where like if you look at a stock, let's say Disney, because we talk about Disney here on the channel. The day-to-day stuff doesn't really matter so much. If it goes up, the stock goes up like 3 days in a row, and then on the fourth day it goes down, and then it goes up the next day, and then down the next day. Those incremental changes from day to day don't really matter so much. It's the long-term trend that matters the most, right? And I think when you're doing self-improvement or you're trying to be a better person, I kind of see it the same way, right? So yeah, you're going to have a day where maybe this guy, he's going to cuss more than he usually does. He's going to slip up more than he usually does. For me personally, I might have a day where I'm eating a lot of Takis, not the greatest for you. Maybe have 1 or 2 extra beers that I shouldn't be having. But then the next day, I'm really, really good, right? As long as like the trend is going in the right direction, I think you're doing good, right? But life ebbs and flows. You know what I'm saying? Change is a hard thing, and it's not going to always be perfect. You're going to fall back sometimes. You're going to, you go 3 steps forward and a couple steps back. But what say you, Webba? I mean, you are a very driven dude. I mean, I know you very personally. We talk on the phone a lot. You're a very ambitious dude, which I respect a whole lot. You have an amazing work ethic. But you have vices as well, like anybody else. I mean, what are you trying to work on? And do you kind of notice the same kind of patterns here where you're a step forward, a step back kind of situation, or?
Yes, actually. So kind of going to your point, I 100% agree with you. And things like that with our kind of everyday daily life stuff is a lot of those things that we do, or it's like built out of habit, right? Like those things turn into habits. And what you're talking about is that kind of long-term growth, right? Like that trajectory, right? Going up, that has to be built into your everyday routine, your everyday habits of how you are as a person, right? Trying to grow that way. And it's hard, like we are creatures of habit. And I'm very much am myself. And look, right? Well, one of the things I was trying to improve on, I would say ever since high school, like really since high school, like I was in and out of the gym constantly. Like I've probably been to every gym in my city since high school, like multiple times. Because I've always been on and off, on and off, on and off. That is the one thing for me that has been the hardest to stay consistent. Now, granted, my excuses are, it's just like a lot of life stuff gets in the way, whether it's financials or no time or whatever, right? That stuff always gets in the way. Even recently, I've had that happen, right? Where I was going to the gym a couple years ago consistently, then I stopped. Then I went to the boxing thing, and then, job stuff happened, right? So it was like a lot of that stuff that just kind of happens, and it's annoying. But yes, I do swear a lot as well. However, I was actually been thinking about it, and I actually kind of want to, because we moved like in our new unit here, right? And I was telling you that in our second bedroom, I want to make that not like a studio bedroom, but I want to have like my own setup there for a more professional get up here, like I'm just on my laptop, like within the kitchen. So I want to improve on having a better like recording studio, right, with proper like screens and setup, so that way it looks more professional, a more professional mic. I actually want to start dressing a bit better, on the show and whatnot, right? And I also just want to feel like I look more presentable on the stream, right? So it's like little changes like that, especially when it's stuff that you're passionate about, can really creep into your everyday life and that make you become a better person that way, right? Now, for example, go ahead, OG.
No, go ahead. Finish your point.
I'll say, but when it's stuff that has been like, let's say your not so good habits, like mine is junk food, right? I love this stuff. Ever since it came out, I remember the commercial when it was like the people out like in the snow with that ice sculpture, and the hot Cheeto guy, was it Chester the Cheetah? Was it Chester the Cheetah? Right, he comes out. I've been eating those things since I was a kid, man. I haven't stopped. And same for Coke. I love Coca-Cola. That is OG. You see me drinking Coke all the time. It's like those two are like my really bad dietary habits, and it's super hard for me to kick. I do try to drink more water. There was a time where I tried out more like flavored waters and stuff to try to get off that. it's hard. Like some of these habits that you have are very hard to get off of.
Well, it is, and I kind of have come up with the mindset where baby steps will get you there, right? It's kind of like the lights on your lights on your car at night. If you're going down a road, it only illuminates like a few feet in front of you, but if you just keep going, eventually you're going to get to your destination, right? So that's kind of how I see things. Like where, like for example, you're trying to quit Coke or cut back on your Coke. Okay, so maybe going cold turkey is very difficult, right? Because that's kind of jarring to go completely off of it. Yeah. But like maybe every other time that you go to the fridge and you have that moment where you make that decision, am I going to reach for the Coke or the bottle of water? Maybe every other time or every third time you go for the bottle of water. Now you're still drinking Coke, but you're not drinking as many, and you're also incorporating water into your diet. Even if you swap out that Coke once or twice with a water, that helps, right? And you have to celebrate the little wins here and there along the way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, another thing too that I want to bring up is I respect anyone who tries. You can try and you can fail. You can try and you can fail. But if you're trying in life, you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my thing. Like I don't look down on anybody. If you're making minimum wage and you're working your ass off to support your family, dude, that's respect. You know what I'm saying? I respect that. It's for me, it's about like the effort, and it's about like wanting to do better. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to be a millionaire, but if you're working your ass off to try to support your family, dude, even if you're only making like $10 an hour, that's respect. You know what I'm saying? Even like Luke, okay, perfect example, right? Like a year and a half ago at D23, everyone knows the story here on the channel, but I'll repeat it. I was at D23 with Lucas Kim and George, the Italiano, right? We were at D23, and I saw this really cute. All 3 days, man, I saw this cute girl. I was like, oh man, George, she is finer than frog hair. You know, she is so fine. And that's pretty fine, dude, right? I never said a word to her. I'm like, fuck, man. And I regret it ever since. I'm like, damn, I never said a word to her. And I told myself, I'm not going to ever do that again. You know what I'm saying? And so this past weekend, I told you the story, but I was going through Avengers Campus, bro. And I saw this girl. She was really, really cute, man. This Japanese girl, right? She's sitting there on the planter. I'm going towards the bathroom. And she smiles at me, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I walk past her. I look back. She's still looking at me. I'm like, okay. After I'm done with the bathroom, I'm going to go out there and talk to her. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do a D23 girl thing again. I want to try to be better and try to come out of my comfort zone a little bit here, right? So I go out the bathroom. I walk over to her. I'm like, hey, what's your name? She's like, oh, my name is Yoshi. I'm like, oh, I'm Christopher. Nice to meet you. Hey, have you been here to? Because she was out. She was definitely from out of country. I think she was from Japan, right? And I said, have you been here to Disneyland Resort? By the time I could barely even finish my sentence, bro, her boyfriend walks right up. Like, fuck. Oh man, I'm like, okay, cool. I told the dude, hey, no disrespect, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. She was alone for a while. But the point of the story is, even though that didn't work out, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it because you know what? The alternative is not trying. And that's not an option for me. I want to try. And if it doesn't work out, that's all good. But I think regret is worse than you try and it doesn't work out. You know what I'm saying? So yes, it's all about that growth, you know?
Exactly. And the thing too, that if you don't try, you know, whichever way it goes, you know, okay, let's say if you don't try, you don't know if that was a missed opportunity.
Oh, exactly, bro. I would have gone home and I was like, damn, man, maybe she was single. Maybe she was just there with her girlfriends. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And it turns out she had a guy and it was cool. I told him I didn't mean any disrespect. I didn't know the situation. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got to put yourself out there and you got to try. And that's the thing, whether it's with love, whether it's with finance, whether it's with whatever, whether you're trying to stop cussing like he is, as long as you're trying, it's all good. If you fall, just get back up and keep trying.
Yep.
So what did you mess up on?
Well, yeah, you know, just speed running cancellation, that type of thing, right? Like, I'm like, I can't believe, and somebody put it into context, it's like technically, right? Because last episode of UTI and the clip that they were trying to cancel us for was from episode 2 of ATI. It took us one episode break.
Hey, whenever people comment, like, I give it a month for them to get canceled, I'm like, yep.
You should be
We don't mean to. I promise you, we don't mean to. Sometimes when you're on a podcast, you just talk, you get so excited to talk about things and like share things.
Yeah.
And it just gets lost in everything.
That's true.
That, and also there's people hate watching us. Like,
oh yeah,
I think that there's people hate watching us. There's people trying to force a slip up, right? Like 90% of the people that are furious with us, like, are mad about the clip they saw that clipped us incorrectly anyways, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, well, don't know what I could have done about that. And that's the thing.
And here's the thing too. I have so many thoughts on that. That's true. And that it's not just with them. I mean, anytime you're in the public space, you're gonna have haters. We talk about it all the time here on the channel. You're gonna have haters. Luckily, we don't really have that many. I mean, for the most part, like, our comment section here at OG55 is really good. Very minimal, like, stuff like that. Very, 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 very small percentage, but it does happen, especially when you get bigger like they are. But you're going to have the hate watching. You're going to have people who are just hell-bent on misinterpreting you and trying to make you look bad, right? In terms of cancellation, I think cancel culture has a place. I think cancel culture has good intentions. I think it's good to hold people accountable for bad behavior, for, you know, what's the word for it? It's good to hold people accountable for ignorance or what have you, right? I think my only criticism though of cancel culture is a lot of times there isn't a pathway to redemption. That's my issue. Because I think in life, like we talked about, this whole theme of the show is, you know, growing and trying to be a better person and messing up and getting back up, right? So I think it's fine if someone fucks up and then they get canceled, but there has to be a way back for that person. It can't just be they're exiled forever and there's no way back. Like, there has to be a way where this person can, you know what, reflect on what they did, change, grow, do better, and reemerge and come back. And I feel like that part of cancel culture is largely ignored, and that's a big issue. I think that in life, look, dude, you can go through anyone's life. We've all made mistakes, dude. You can go through anyone's past. I mean, you've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. Every single person, every person on this panel that we're reacting to has made mistakes in the past. Everyone is messed up. We're all human beings. But it's how you act going forward after those mistakes that really count and show true character. So, you know what? You fucked up. Good. Hold that person accountable. Good. But if that person takes that situation and is really actively trying to be better, why are we still punishing them like in perpetuity, like forever? That doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a way back. That's just my opinion. What say you, Ebba?
No, I agree. And there's also two things as well. I think the whole cancel culture thing, I think that, what do you call it? We have to look at the issues of, like, what were they canceled for?
Right? Sure.
You know, like, how severe was their actions or whatever they said enough to be canceled over, right? So I do think there is some cancellation going on over minor things, but like I said, people should be held accountable. Now, the other thing as well is if someone just turns around to be redeemable, but only out of, you know, the kind of what would you call it? The criticism,
like performative, like not genuine. They're just doing it to like get out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think there's also a difference between someone who is kind of just coming back, you know, acting like they are better, and then there's the other genuine side of like, hey, I actually learned from my mistake. That was a stupid decision or whatever that I made. Because look, I mean, we have some stuff that people have been canceled over that happened like 10, 15, 20 years ago. And if some person in their basement finds this little thing online about what happened, and then they bring it back to the forefront. Oh, look, everybody, see that thing? That one thing they did makes them a bad person.
Right. Well, that happened to James Gunn, right? He made some really disgusting jokes, and there's no excuse for the jokes he made, right? He said made some really disgusting jokes on Twitter, but it was like at that time, it was like a decade before. Yeah. And look, and even people, here's the thing too, Ebba, people change, but so does the social norms.
They do.
So when I was a kid, the stuff that was acceptable is way different than the stuff that's acceptable now.
Oh yeah.
So if you're right, so if you're going to hold people accountable for like what they did in the year 1999, I mean, in 2025, it's kind of unfair, right? Because it's like times have changed and people change, you know?
Exactly. So no, exactly. So. And again, I also want to like reiterate that I think it also depends on what was done, right? You know, like you know, like obviously some severely bad stuff is just not, you know, redeemable at all, you know, on like a moral human, you know, conscious level perspective. But for something like you said, some dumb crap like 10 years ago or whatever, right? That was okay at the time, whatever. I mean, but in that 10-year span, you grew as a person as well. Because usually we're humans, we over time we learn, or at least normal functioning people do. You learn and grow over time, right? Your ideas change, the way you think changes, the way you see the world changes, right? So that enables you to become mature as you age, right?
Yes, exactly. Well said.
Think about it, if you have enough content of you on the internet, you could make me say whatever, technically, right? Like you could clip me out in ways to just make me vilify me in whatever way possible.
Oh, I got you.
But yeah.
No, he's right. I've seen this a lot of times where like someone who, because what he's talking about is like people who have a lot of themselves, right, on the internet, of like different videos or whatever. Someone can go and do a whole video edit and take words out of each section and put it together. You know what I mean?
Or absolutely.
So, but
yeah, you can, if someone's hell bent on making you look bad, believe me, they can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Especially like what she was saying too, where, you know, when you do podcasting, you know, and you're out here, we talk a lot about stuff, not just Disney stuff. We talk a lot about entertainment. We talk about a lot, like today, we're talking about life, right? You get in the conversation, into the groove, and sometimes you get caught up in the moment. You might say something really stupid, you know? And people that are like just hell-bent on hating you, or they're going to clip that little part right there, and they're going to, it is what it is, you know? It sucks, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when we talked to Johnny, that's why I was like, you know, I want to talk to Johnny myself. Yeah, ask him questions about what am I doing with this part of my life, because everything else, it feels like all the work I put in for years, it's paying off, and it's like finally coming to fruition. Everything's like, everything in my life is a well-oiled, fulfilling machine, except for almost like this area, you know what I mean? Like the entertainment part of my life that I enjoy doing as well, that fulfills me. And one of the things that makes it so fulfilling, I have this little letter that I texted Esther a picture, but I don't know if you saw it yet. Somebody, her name is Melody, gave it to me at the
Mike.
No way, I didn't bring it. What? I suck.
Picture
of it. But anyways, like at my event ew, dude. At my event in New York,
over there.
At my event in New York, this girl Melody handed me like a letter and was like, "Can you please like, you know, read this and give it to all the other ATI cast?" I read it. That shit almost brought a tear to my eye, and I'm like, "This is why I enjoy doing it." When we would go on like meet and greets and shit, like I feel like I got a lot of things like that, you know?
You're going to bring a tear to my eye if you don't stop cussing.
Oh, I cussed again?
Yes, you said the S word like 2 times.
No, I don't even know I'm doing it. You know, I'm going to put a dog collar on for the next episode.
Yeah, and I'll be.
Well, see, and that goes back to the point I was saying before. It's so built in as a habit for you to do it in your behavior that it just, it's normal. And it's really hard to change that. And to your point, that's where you have to make those little baby steps to become better in the thing you're trying to do. You know?
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to stop cussing. So maybe if you just don't say the F word, maybe 3 less times in this podcast than usual. That's progress. You know what I'm saying? That's progress. But he mentions too, like content creation and how, there's a lot of BS around content creation. You get the haters, you get the trolls, you get all this nonsense, right? But then you get the people like that meet you in person and say, "Hey, you know what? I've had people come up to me, like even at my local mall, you know, and stuff like that, and say, 'Hey, what's up, OG?' I'm like, 'What's up, dude?' And they would tell me the stuff like, you know, if I'm at the parks, like, you know, I was going through some life stuff, and like your content helped me get through that. Like with all the trolls or the haters or whatever, when someone comes up to you and tells you that your content made a difference in their life, it makes everything worth it, man. There's no other feeling in the world that like you're impacting someone's life in a positive way. And I love that, so I see what he's saying. I mean, I know, and you've had people come to you in the parks and stuff like that. It feels really good. It feels like you're making a difference in the world. You know what I'm saying? You're providing value to people. You're providing a source of happiness, and that's awesome. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. And kind of going back to what I talked to you about, OG, and I'll say it again for on here, but that's why I enjoy, working or being a model citizen at Legoland, because as someone who has a passion for theme parks and theme park industry, I get to be part of that kind of oil machine that brings happiness to the families, and I love knowing that part of my job, it enables the resort to do that. And yeah, anyways.
No, well said. Absolutely.
Be the one holding
And
the remote.
somebody can buzz me every time I curse.
Oh, that's very nice. Was this after or before?
The incident?
Yeah, the incident.
Well, I had no clue the incident happened, by the way. So I was over there having a grand old time at my event, right? Like a bunch of people at the bar area, taking pictures, making drinks. That's when she gave it to me. I took a picture with her. We talked for a bit. She gave me the letter. Super sweet. And then I go back to my live. I was live streaming on TikTok, and then I go, my live stream's blowing up like, Wutak get Vit got thrown out, blah blah blah. And I'm like, and then I look up, I'm watching Vit walking past me.
I did not get thrown out.
Yeah, I'm like, he did not get thrown out, guys. And then so I was like, bye. Like I just ended the live. But yeah, man. I feel like Vit, you have some experience with this, right? Trying to grow and fucking up again. What's the message behind that?
It's really annoying.
Like, in what ways is it annoying?
It's really annoying. I'm feeling like you're making progress in terms of career, even as a person, and then falling again to the same mistakes that you have in the past. So hypothetically, let's say I messed up and I fought.
Allegedly.
Yes. It's really annoying feeling like I wasn't able to, in the moment, I feel like my life is so ruled by fight or flight, and I've always chosen fight, which is my way of surviving in the past. And then maybe it hasn't hit me that I'm not in that lifestyle anymore, or that's not what my life currently is. But my brain is so hardwired to always choose fight when it comes to fight or flight that it is now detrimental to the life that I'm trying to build and maintain and improve.
Now here's the thing. I can relate to this guy. I don't fight. I'm a lover, not a fighter, just for the record, but I can absolutely relate to this guy though, in terms of that fight or flight mode. Because I do have anxiety disorder, you know what I'm saying? I do have it. I still keep going no matter what though. Even if I'm anxious, I still keep going, but I do have anxiety disorder. And to have that kind of that fight or flight mode constantly, that high cortisol 24/7, it's not an easy thing, to kind of get through your day. So this is how he deals with it, right? He's in that fight mode, right? So he's constantly fighting that. That's gotta be tough, man. Yeah. So
also, real quick, I also want to say, OG too, about the things like that. When you're a child, children still have they're still developing, right? So your child life really shapes and molds you to who you are as an adult.
100%.
And I think that, of course, there's parenting and your environmental factors, right? I think kind of hand in hand, that really kind of, I'm not a doctor or a scientist or anything, but I think that really kind of hardwires into who you become later in life, really. Because if you're living a certain way of life as a kid onto adulthood, that's kind of all you know. You don't know how to deal with any other type of. You don't know how to deal with situations in a different way, because you're like, I only dealt with this one way. I don't know how to not be this way. And I've actually saw this with one of my coworkers. I won't say which job, but he was 18 years old. Still like a very young guy. He just graduated high school. But he was very much in the kind of tough family. He had brothers that were in prison. You know, he would always like pretend he was fighting us all the time. It was very immature, right? So he was very much, you could tell he grew up in an era of like kind of hard parenting, you know, violence in the family and the streets, stuff like that. So it's very much who you are like as an adult was from what happened to you as a child growing up that way.
No, absolutely. Your mind, when you're a kid, your mind is a sponge, and a lot of the issues that people have in their adulthood is, you're right, Webba. A lot of the issues you have in adulthood goes back to when you were a kid, and you don't even realize it sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and what's funny about that is that I think there's a lot more undiagnosed issues with adults. Because I think people always like to say, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm going through life fine, right? But really, when you are not fine and you're parenting the way you are to your child, you're putting and I've seen it with the other coworker of mine. We talk about it all the time. And I'm like, okay, and we both agree like that, yeah, how she is not really normal at all. And again, the mom's like, I'm fine. But clearly the way you're acting, the way you saying stuff is not like normal, right? So right. I think there's a lot of this going on in pretty much all like any family. You know, I do believe there's a lot of undiagnosed people with certain, you know, either disabilities or mental health issues. And then that just kind of gets, you know, everybody's having kids and then there's like, I'm fine. And then, you know, they're raising the child who has a mind, like a brain and a mind, like a piece of Play-Doh, and they're molding it into those type of either insecurities or anxiousness or whatever. So, you know, children are very much like Play-Doh. You can shape and mold them to however you see fit.
Yeah, no, exactly. When you're young, especially in those early years, up until like 7 or 8 years old, they absorb everything, dude. And even well-intentioned parents, most of the time the parents are well-intentioned. It's not like the parents are abusive even. If you have a parent who's overprotective, just trying to protect their kid, but they go overboard with that, you're going to create a situation where the kid is maybe overly anxious or they feel like the world is unsafe, but the parent didn't mean any harm. The parent's just trying to be a good parent, right? So even if the parents are like well-intentioned and just trying to do what's best for the kid, it can still influence the child in a negative way. So it's crazy.
So it's, and the tough thing at the end of the day is I'm the type of person that also is very hard on myself. I've never made excuses, or I try not to make excuses.
I think we all are. You know, I can relate to this. I can relate to this guy quite a bit, actually. It's funny. Like, I mean, I think a lot of us are hard on ourselves. We've talked about this on the phone, Webba, you and I. You know, we're like, you know, I won't get into the details or whatever, but like, I feel like a lot of times in life, like, you know, we do things, right? Whether it be like, hey, we do an episode of OG55 and I'm like, I walk away from that going, dang, man, I don't really like the way I did that, right? But like usually 9 times out of 10, I'm just being overly harsh on myself, right? And you've had that situation with other things in your life and what have you, where you feel like, man, I really just didn't do what I thought I was expecting. And usually you are your biggest critic, and most people don't see it as harshly, you know? And that's something that as human beings, we all have to kind of remember that, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like we're judging ourselves usually more harshly than everyone else around us is, you know?
Yeah, so. Exactly. Now, Ochi, I want to ask you though, is that due to like something with like the ego?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Ego. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's ego driven. Yeah. Cause you want to do, a lot of it is ego because you want to come off a certain way. You want to be successful. You want to win. You know, like, let's say like, whether it be with jobs, whether it be relationships, you know, let's say you have sex with a woman, right? For example, you have sex with a woman and it's like, at the end, you're like questioning your performance. Man, I hope she enjoyed it as much as I did. Or like you start second guessing yourself. Or let's say you apply for a job and you're like, well, man, I hope I did good, but I don't know, this thing and that thing didn't really, you know what I'm saying? Or like, it could be 1,000 different things, a podcast episode. You're like, man, I could have done better. But we are way harder on ourselves than usually anybody else is. And not to say that we're perfect, right? Not to say that people are perfect, but usually when, you know, we shit on ourselves a lot more than what's deserved, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So there's really no one to blame but myself. Like, I can't sit there and blame past ops or my dad or my childhood or whatever. At the end of the day, it is me that fucks up.
It's you choosing to react to whatever inputs.
But the tough thing is, like, it's not
And here's the thing. So we just talked about, right? Like the past coming to bite you in the butt because of how, you know, either you were raised or whatever. But he's correct though. I mean, as an adult, right? You know, ultimately, whatever consequence it is, a good one or a bad one, it is your choice to like what the main, I don't know their names, but the main guy said, you know, it is your choice to how you react to it, right? So if someone says or does something to me, you know, okay, how do I respond? You know, am I going to be a butthole about it, or am I going to, you know, or like, am I going to do something else to calm the situation down? All right, it's really, life's really about how you are responding to your environment, right? How do you navigate those waters?
Yeah, 100%. And actually, you call him the main guy. From now on, if you could just call me the main guy, that'd be great, bro. Okay. Hey, what's up, main guy? No. What's up, main guy? Let's go. No, but here, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the fact that and here's the thing too, the fact that he's aware of it, that makes all the difference, bro. Like the fact that he's aware of it, that's a major, major step. You know, the fact he knows he's got issues or knows he has a problem and he knows he's got to work on something. Yeah. That's the biggest first step, dude. And the fact he's aware of it, kudos on him, you know, and now he knows and now he can work on that and do what he has to do to fix it. A lot of times people have issues and they don't even know that they got the issue.
Yes.
And then how do you fix something you don't even know you have, you know?
Right. Exactly. He's displaying really great self-awareness. Which is awesome because, like, to your point, a lot of people aren't aware enough about themselves to, like, oh, maybe this is an issue, right? You know, like instead they'll keep blaming other things, you know, besides looking at themselves, like, oh, maybe I'm the issue, or maybe, like, no, or maybe I'm the one doing I'm doing stuff that is the problem, you know?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people love doing that, right? Where it's like they're gonna, like, there's a situation. Right. And, oh, it's that person and that person's doing it and this person's doing it. It's like, okay. I mean, look, that could be true, but it's also good to look inward and be like, but what's my part in all this? Yeah. Like, why are multiple friends of mine or multiple relationships having issues? Maybe I'm the common denominator here. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe there's something that I can also fix. Not to say that everyone else around these people are blameless, you know, but sometimes a lot of people, like, I respect him for his self-awareness, but because a lot of people don't have that self-awareness, and it's good to have that and know, like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I could handle this and that better, and I'm going to work on that. You know what I'm saying? So 100%. Right.
In the moment, it's not even choosing. Maybe this will, like, let people know more how my brain works. I wish I could choose, even if I repeatedly make the same choice and I keep fucking up. Because if I feel like I could choose, at least one day I have hope that I could choose the opposite. When it gets like that, truly that bad, I don't ever remember choosing. It just, I see someone in my face and my brain goes to just get them the fuck out of your face, or, like, you're gonna get hurt.
Well, I do think do you want advice right now, or?
Sure.
Well, I do think that, like, obviously you have these, like, long built habits, so, like, it's gonna take almost just as long to unlearn them. But beyond that, it's not just fight or flight, like when you're an adult, right? It's fight, flight, there's flight, but there's also, like, just defuse, and that is, like, that's the third option, and that's the best option always, right? Like, it's way like I feel like fight or flight in like scenarios that you may have been in, right? Like I've been in scenarios where it was fight or flight, and flight fucks you over way more than fighting does, right? Fight was the smarter decision, because if you run, you're a bitch, and then being a bitch, being labeled as a bitch is dangerous for you, right?
Genuinely, yeah.
But in this circle of life, but like flight, you look like a bitch no matter what, right? But fight, you look even more like a bitch. I mean, you know what I mean? Because it's like you look like a man that can't control your emotions. So like the true masculine way, the true adult way to handle it is diffuse. It's diffuse, yeah, it's like you're riling my emotions up, but I am comfortable enough and man enough to hold that down for the both of us and even like concede to you in whatever way, right? Like that, like anytime that I've been able to do that in a situation, the outcome was so much more rewarding than beating the shit out of them, beating the poop out of them would have been. Like, so I feel like it's not fight or flight. You don't look like a bitch by trying to diffuse a situation.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's not funny, but like, you know, in that recent situation where I approached that girl and like we were chopping it up, and then her boyfriend walks over, right? That was my bad. Like I probably should have waited maybe a few more minutes and figured seeing if she had a guy or not, and I didn't, right? So when he walked up, like I was more in diffuse mode where it was almost like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, man. Like I didn't mean any disrespect, because it's not like he did nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? And like, I didn't know. So it was like that diffuse situation, but that easily could have gone into a fight situation, right? Like that could have been a problem. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well, exactly. But I think that also speaks to character, right? I mean, some people just don't have good character and they'll do fight or flight all day long, right? And, so I'm not saying that the other guy does have good character. I think he does. It's just how he was brought up and everything. You know what I mean? But there's people I know who just generally just like to fight people like all the time, right? And it's just like, why always cause violence? Why always be the aggressor, right? And this is what makes us as humans different in like the animal kingdom, right? We have the capacity to make intelligent decisions, not just be emotionally responsive, but how can we make intelligent decisions to work around a difficult situation, right? And again, this is what I'm talking about how do you respond to your environment, right? Now, 100%. Yes, sometimes there is a fight or a fight, only scenarios, but we are also not, black or white two-dimensional creatures. We are three-dimensional people in a world that have a lot of different emotions and feelings and, thinking. But we have to use that to our advantage and be intelligent and come out with a better outcome than just either beating someone to death, okay, which to me is not okay, or, being running away and then being like what he was saying, being called a bitch, or, and then have people beating you up, right? So I think that, there's a lot of situational stuff here with the humans that I still think is very primitive, in my opinion. And especially like, I won't get into it, but the events that have happened recently, I'll put it that way. But yeah, I mean, I do like that he is very much on the set of, I'm aware of myself. I know how I am. I know how I react. And to your point, that's where he could say, I need to try to work on this to prevent this in the future, right? Because especially if he wants to get big, which he's already big, but he wants to have a better life than that type of response to his current environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well said. Well said.
If anything, you look more like a man. And I feel like when we were talking to Johnny, who was giving us a lot of advice about like God could have stopped you from doing that. God could have stopped him from grabbing your shirt, right? But he didn't for a reason. And it happened for a reason. And it's probably because you had to learn a certain lesson the hard way.
Yeah, no, I firmly believe in, there's that saying, and I've come to adopt this into my mindset. It's like God sends you the same lesson until you choose to hear it and learn it. And there's a human aspect of like blaming myself for fucking up again and whatever. But I don't blame anybody. I especially don't blame God, and I don't blame anybody else for the actions that I did.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, he gets into like he doesn't blame anybody else, and that's good. He's taking accountability. But we like we said before, we typically as human beings are harder on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But aside from that, and I'm gonna get a little bit like on the spiritual side. I don't, look, I was raised Catholic, but like I'm kind of like I believe in God. We talked about this a lot. We did a video on near-death experiences, right? And how the earth experience is basically soul school, right? Where your soul comes down in human form to sort of learn, grow, evolve, because it takes that human experience to sort of do that, right? So I think that that's part of this whole thing where, like, I mean, if you believe that or not, I mean, I do. And I think that we are put on this planet. I think the struggle is part of the growth. You can't have growth without struggle, dude. Like if everything's perfect, then there's no growth, and we're put down here to grow. And and the way you grow is through trials and tribulations and hurdles and mess ups. And that's what makes you a better person at the end of the day, are those bad situations that you kind of emerge from. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. Well, also to kind of get on your, spiritual topic here, right, is, I always hear people say, because like I am too, am a believer in the afterlife and God and stuff like that. Now, I'm not religious, right? I do believe in a like God or a divine supreme being. Now, you always hear people say, oh, why didn't God, stop this or whatever, right? And my answer, at least internally, is always, well, I kind of think about this scenario of like, let's say this divine being is kind of like the parent of all of us, right? Of all the humans on earth, right? We're like the children. Okay, go play in the sandbox, right? We're all like, I guess you could say spiritually related in a way,
yeah.
right? And it's like, your brother's gonna fight that brother. This group of sisters isn't gonna like this group of brothers or whatever, right? There's always gonna be differences and divides. But it's really up to kind of you as the individual to act accordingly and have that good character.
Yes. And here's the thing too. God is seeing stuff from a perspective that we can't even imagine, right? So think of like I have two little dogs. I got a little Yorkie and I got a little Shih Tzu, and I love these two little guys so much, right? Now, when we have the guys who come to clean the carpets and stuff, like I gotta put the dogs in like a room and shut the door, because if I let them out, then they're gonna get out. They're gonna get out of the house, and then if they get out of the house, we have a lot of coyotes because I kind of live in the hills a little bit, so we got a lot of coyotes and stuff. So my little dogs with their little sweaters wouldn't last 2 minutes out there in the wild. You know what I'm saying? So from a dog's perspective, from their limited perception, they're thinking, why would OG do this?
Yeah.
Why would OG do this? Why would OG throw me in this room like this for hours? How cruel of OG to do that. But see, I'm from the perspective of like, I'm doing it for you guys, because if I let you out, you're going to end up probably escaping and probably going to die, right? So this is for your own benefit. But the dogs don't know that. All the dogs know is I'm stuck in this room and I fucking hate it. You know what I'm saying? Why would he do this? You know what I'm saying? And so we're the same kind of, like, human beings are the same, where it's like we're very limited in our knowledge. So when we have a breakup, or we lose a job, or we have a bad life situation, we look at it like my dogs do. Why am I in this room? Why did this thing happen? But God is looking at it from a much bigger vantage point, and it's for your own good most of the time. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's why, I mean, I turned myself into the cops when they called me and shit. And that was my way of taking accountability and
there you go.
owning up to my actions.
Respect, dude.
But yeah, no, there's not much more I could say about it, because once again, I am currently in the middle of a legal battle. But I mean, if you've seen the clip, and you can piece the context clues together.
Yeah. Well, proud of you.
Yeah,
that is it's a very different answer than I think you would have given 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, but back then, I think I would have just been like, I mean, that's how I am, and that's
you probably would have said something along the lines of, "I'll go to jail. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go find him, beat his ass."
Yeah, but
some shit, allegedly, some shit.
I mean,
allegedly, I love that.
But so to main guy's point is, again, let's say he said 2 years ago, right? That's a long time, you know, and as humans, it takes a long time for us to develop and mature and grow that way, right? And I do think there are probably certain points, at least I know this happened for me. I do think that for this gentleman right here, there will be a point probably where his brain just kind of flips the other way. Kind of like a pendulum, right? He's like in one way now where he does have that fight or flight, but then at some point it's just gonna probably like flip. And I had a flip back in the high school. So kind of quick story here, right? I almost flunked out of high school. I was a junior. I got sent to a continuation of high school into like going into my second semester of junior year of high school. And it was because I was behind 140 credits. I needed 240 to graduate. I was failing. I like for 2 or 3 semesters. I was getting all Fs. Even PE, I was getting Fs. What? And you know, and like all my friends were like in the gangs, like here and like where I live at, you know, like just not good people. So I was surrounded by bad people. I wasn't doing bad things, but there was people who I just hung out with, right? I didn't care about school. It was boring, whatever. Then when I went to the continuation school, this is where, for me, my brain kind of flipped, because then I was doing well there because, you know, the teachers were more accommodating. It was a smaller school and whatever. But it was at that point, though, where I had this realization, kind of wake up moment, where I was like, oh, crap. I've kind of been like, life has kind of given me like a second chance here to kind of correct myself and do better and to like do something with my life, you know? And then that's when I start to really, you know, hit the gas pedal and go full forward with it. And I think at some point even other people might experience a type of flip or a switch like that, you know, because I think something has to happen to you in order for you to kind of open your eyes to reality of what's going to happen. And then at that point you flip, you're like, oh man, I really need to do better. Like,
oh yeah. No. And here's the thing too, in society, like it's very en vogue to like, oh man, you know, if you're X age, then it's too late for you. It's never too late for you. You could be 65 years old and you can turn your shit around. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel. Life is a constant learning experience. We are always a student. We're always learning. So if it takes you till you're 65 years old to get your shit together, then it took you till you're 65 years old. It's never too late to turn things around. You know what I'm saying? We're on this planet roughly for 85, 90 years. So even at 65, you've probably still got another 20 years in you. So, hey, you know what? If you can turn it around at 65, more power to you. So, yeah, it's never too late.
Yeah, no, I owned up, and I even tried saying sorry to the dude, and whatever consequences come my way, I'm ready to face them and take accountability. Which I think that's also another thing that I'm trying to be better at, is taking accountability for my choices, because no matter what triggers me, no matter what happens on the outside, I'm slowly starting to understand the concept of literally the only person you can control is yourself. So, you know,
so true.
Every choice I make is exactly that, is my choice. So
very freeing. For me, I feel like the lesson I've learned is I was doing things that I absolutely hate when people do to me. Like, I feel like in my life, people love talking on my name and speaking and making shit up on me, right? Not that I'm saying I'm making it, not saying that, but using someone's name, especially on a platform, even if it was meant to be private, right? Just like, and it was, at the end of the day, it was gossip, right? And being the victim of gossip many times myself, I'm like, stupid of me to do that to anyone else for any reason, even if I thought it was coming from a place of concern or whatever, right? It was just stupid. And I think God taught me that lesson very harshly through the powers of armies of 13-year-old girls.
I think, you know, we say this often too, because we're like, influencers are also real people, right? But celebrities are also real people. And even though like these people on TikTok or wherever news play, you know, like if you watch the news and stuff, they talk about celebrities like they're not humans and you can just say whatever to them. I'm like, dang, they're humans too. Let's not gossip.
That's the lesson I've learned.
Well said.
So not really on the touch up of the gossip part, but just really how out of touch I think people get with this new age of like internet era, right? So, like we see people slamming celebrities or slamming content creators or even, slamming police or whatever it is. There's like the society kind of dictates like what group of people are kind of like untouchable. Like you can throw whatever shade or criticism at them and it's all good, like I can throw all this stuff at them and there's no harm feelings at all. Like it's kind of like people, they see these select groups of people as not like human beings. There's kind of like robots,
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's sad because influencers and celebrities, like she was saying, like Esther was saying, I mean, they're people too. And it's very difficult. Content creation is not an easy thing to be involved in. I know a lot of people kind of like poo-poo it as like not a real job, but look, your 9-to-5 job is more mentally exhausting because you're at your computer and you're doing spreadsheets or whatever you're doing on your 9-to-5, right?
Grind.
But like, you know what I'm saying? But like content creation is socially and even emotionally draining. Yeah. And it's really, really difficult. It's very hard to wake up and then have a bunch of hate comments and people attacking you and stuff. Like that's not an easy thing to put up with. I mean, this particular podcast, they've been canceled before. They've gotten a lot of shit and they've handled it, at the end of the day. But it's like that kind of stuff wears on people. Yeah, they're very popular and they got a lot of subscribers and a lot of followers and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that the attacks or the trolling or the hate doesn't impact them at all. Of course it does. They're human beings. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people forget that, sadly.
Yeah, well, I think that, again, I think a lot of that has to do with the age of the internet. I think that because people feel safe, typing on the keyboard, just saying whatever they want. And it's like, yeah, they see there's a person on the screen who's talking and stuff, but there's a disassociation between human to human, right? Whereas like OG, like I can be like, OG, you blah, 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 like right now, right? But then, in person, it'll be a lot harder for me to say in person than it would.
It would. And that's the ugliness of the internet, is that it's far too easy to do that. And, and that's the sad part too, because if you were to put your haters in the same room as you probably would get along. You probably would be fine. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think too, like, I've always had this question. Does the internet bring out people's true feelings about things? Right? Like if there's racist comments, would those people really be that way in person? Like are they truly a racist person or a truly this person or that person? You know what I mean? Like, because they're safe behind the computer. So if there was no consequence for those negative expressions in person, is that their true colors? Is that their true nature as a person?
Yeah, I would lean towards yes. I can't speak for the overall because you never know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the anonymity, I can never say it, the anonymous nature of the internet sort of gives people like the comfort to sort of say whatever, and like I think people do hold back in person, but I think if people were to give people a chance and actually meet them and actually get to know people, you would see that, hey, maybe the person that you demonize isn't so bad after all. Maybe they got flaws, they got problems, they made mistakes, but maybe, just maybe, you know what, this person, there's some context and there's some nuance to their situation, and to understand that, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, and I think it goes a lot deeper. I think a lot of people, when they watch either content creators or celebrities, right, they have this idea in their head that this is like a perfect human being, right? Like they think the way I do, they believe the same things I believe in, so on and so on and so on, right? And then when there's one little like mistake or whatever that the person who's idolizing that person doesn't like, oh, now this person's a piece of crap or whatever. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, no one is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And people are different. You idolizing the celebrity or influencer or whatever, they're not going to be everything you thought they are.
No, they're not. These people, they're human beings. I'm a human being. You're a human being. We've both made mistakes in life. You know what I'm saying? And these influencers that we're watching, they've made mistakes in life. Everyone watching this so right now has made mistakes in life. You can find a mistake in everyone's life, that there is something in everyone's past that they're not proud of, and they're embarrassed, or they fucked up. I mean, it's human life, and those things are what help us grow as human beings. You know what I'm saying? So as long as you learn from it, now that's the thing. I mean, that's the caveat. As long as you learn from it, right? Yes. Like Viet, I think his name is Viet, the guy with the tattoos. He's made mistakes. He's admitting to it. He's taking accountability. He's being a man. He's admitting to what he's done, and he's saying, I'm accepting whatever comes my way. I respect that. You know, he's learning. So he's becoming a better person. You know what I'm saying? So that's awesome. That's how, as human beings, we should be. It's not about the mistake. It's always, for me, it's more about how do you emerge from that mistake? What do you learn from? Can you be better now going forward? That's what's important, really. You know what I'm saying? Because making a mistake, everyone's made mistakes. Everyone's messed up in life. It's how you respond to that mistake and how you learn and grow moving forward that I think really counts and really shows character.
Yeah.
And if we have to mention somebody's name for a topic, must be
a little
bleeped.
sister?
Huh?
Do you have a little sister?
I have a younger cousin. I have a girl cousin, younger girl cousin.
I was like, what?
And we're kind of close now. So I just went to her graduation, actually.
Really?
Yeah. She just graduated high school, and I bought her a gift. I bought her a MacBook Air,
Nice.
and she was so appreciative. And it's cool because like when we like go to dinner with my uncle and my aunt and like their family, and then like the servers are like trying to taking pictures with me and shit, and they're just like all like beaming proud. Because I was just telling my co-founders this. I used to be the source of all my family's stress, like the disappointment of the family. And now it's like the whole family's like, I'm like the center point of everyone's glaze. So it's like
awesome.
The complete opposite end of the spectrum. And that's also something, if you guys have tough shit in your life, or you think that you'll endure tough shit in your life, always focus on keeping a healthy family relationship. Because God first, but then family second, because there's the only people that are physically in this world with you that will ride with you through it all. And if you don't have that, even just one family member to rely on, I feel like everything would be so tough. Sometimes I get like flashes of like really dark thoughts, like for no reason, like my mom and my brother dying. And then when I think about like my life, what it would look like if they were gone, I don't know if I could make it that long without them. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we don't matter. Like we're still
No,
here.
you do, but like I don't.
I know,
you know what I'm saying?
It's a different level of like.
And there are humans that are not blood that I love like family now, right? Like you guys, but like it's just not the same. Like they're the only ones that have been there since the very beginning.
Yeah,
and if they were gone, it would feel like the first 18 years or whatever before 18 years.
Yeah, my ex that I was with for 13 years. She was or she is. She's still Vietnamese. She's still Vietnamese. She's still Vietnamese. But yeah, my ex my recent ex, right? He talks a lot about family and stuff, and that was one of the things that I really loved about like my ex's, like her family. They were such a strong family unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and every holiday, like whether it was like Lunar New Year or Christmas or, yeah, I mean, anything like a graduation or anything, like we would all go to her grandma's house, and there'd be like hundreds of people there, like cousins from all over Southern California and everywhere, even from like Vietnam, you know, they would fly in and stuff. And it was like really cool, that like strong family unit and just so much family, and they all took care of each other. And that was really, really cool. You know what I'm saying? And I see that a lot with Asian families. I think there's I don't want to paint with a broad brush. I'm just saying in general, I do notice that a lot with Asian families where there's that strong family bond. And I think that's really, really awesome. And I think that's very, very healthy. And I think that he is right. I think in life that the family matters above everything. I mean, family is everything. You know what I'm saying? These are people that, you know, they're going to ride or die for you. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even so much necessarily blood. I mean, it is blood, but it can also be like your family, like that's not even blood. Sometimes you inherit an amazing family. You know what I'm saying? So people in your life that are family, but maybe they're not even your blood. You know what I'm saying? But Just that strong family unit, though. I mean, I think we're put on here on Earth to really like. It's those interactions and that love and those relationships that really matter the most. And that's at the end of the day, that's what really, really matters and really counts.
I made y'all at like 26. The first 26 years of my life, right? Like completely gone. It would feel like that, right?
Tough.
Yeah.
I used to have really bad anxiety as a teenager about my sister and my mom dying.
Yeah.
Like just super bad anxiety before I even knew what anxiety was.
Yep. Even now, like I fucking get random like intrusive thoughts of just like the worst possible shit happening.
Intrusive.
Yeah, man. I tell you, I'm like on their level 100%. Dude, I remember like when I was in like 5th grade. Now, remember, I have anxiety disorder. I was diagnosed with OCD, right? But I remember like in 5th grade, I would be sitting waiting for my mom to pick me up from school. And if she was like 5 minutes late, even in 5th grade, bro, I was stressed out. Oh God, my mom died. She died. There's no other reason why she's 5 minutes late. She had to have died.
right to that source, dude.
right to that. Even in 5th grade. So I get what these guys are saying, you know. But I just want to thank the Above the Influence podcast. I like I said, I'm new to their show, but I really, really love their style. I love the way they kind of approach their podcast format. I think George was talking about how when we're out in Anaheim in the timeshare, doing this kind of style show for his channel, like we're sitting on couches and kind of just shooting the shit. I love that. I would love to do that, but big shout out to them. I'll be linking their channel down below, so make sure you subscribe and show them the love. Usually we react to them on the members part of OG55, but today we're giving it to everybody here at OG55. But Mr. Webba, before we go, any final thoughts on anything we discussed today? We kind of got deep today. We dove real deep.
Yeah, well, one thing is I know I don't know their names, the people on the podcast, but Above the Influence, if you guys see this, that was really good talk and discussion there, and the content that OG55 has been reacting to has been really great. So keep up the good work. But yeah, no, just overall, I think that as a human, one of the things like here's the thing, OG, as a human, right? I don't strive for perfection. What I strive for is to just kind of better improvement of myself, right? Whether it's through jobs, finances, my animals, my wife, right? Like every type, friendships, how I interact with people. As long as you can kind of make those baby steps and those incremental steps for you to do better, whether it's being better at something, being your better self in a certain way. I think that's the goal. That is the goal. And eventually, when I'm like 80 years old, I can be like, yeah, I reached that goal.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, but no, it was great, OG. It was great. So thank you so much for having me on to react to this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we have our buddy Chewy. He's trying to stop. I've been telling him, man, you can't drink and fly, bro. You can't drink and fly. He won't listen to me though, bro. He won't listen to me. But one day he'll learn. He'll get better. He will. He'll get there. But Mr. Webba, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on social media, Twitter, Threads, Instagram at Mr. Webba91. You can also find me on TikTok, at Mr. Webba91. You can also find me right here with this guy on Orange Grove 55.
55. Thank you so much for watching this episode of OG55. Don't forget to go in the description and subscribe to Above the Influence podcast. Check them out. They do a lot of great content, as you can see. Thank you for watching this episode. And until the next time, see you later.
Don't forget to subscribe to OG55 and become a member today.